All right, welcome everybody to a special Thanksgiving episode of The Hit. I'm home for Thanksgiving break. I'm in my room right now. And for this episode, I really wanted to go into some of the best moments in Thanksgiving football history because there's a lot of really cool and fun moments that have happened over the course of NFL history on Thanksgiving Day. And some of them you guys might know, some of them I bet you won't know, but we're going to go into my 5 best Thanksgiving Day moments in NFL history. And then after that, I'm going to go briefly into the 3 games we're going to see on Thursday. Bears-Lions, Raiders-Cowboys, Bills-Saints. So starting off first in 1974. So I'm guessing none of you guys know what I'm going to go into. 1974, Cowboys versus Washington. The Cowboys are down 16-3. And Roger Staubach, who is a Hall of Fame quarterback, legendary Cowboys quarterback, gets knocked out of the game. And their backup quarterback this year is rookie quarterback Clint Longley. Now, if you haven't heard of Clint Longley, no one's going to blame you because nobody knows who Clint Longley is. And in 1974, he's a rookie backup for Staubach. He's not going to play anyway. So he goes onto the field and nobody knows who he is. Nobody. But he comes on the field and down 16-3, he comes back to help them win the game 24-23. Clint Longley, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. He carried them through that game, and the Cowboys went on to win, which is very impressive. When you're a rookie and you're playing for the Cowboys and you're coming in for a Hall of Fame quarterback, that's incredibly hard to do. So maybe the moment is amazing. First of all, the moment is amazing. But what happens after this moment is the funny part, at least to me. So think about it. You're a rookie quarterback. You go in for Roger Staubach, and you beat Washington in Dallas. Big moment. Clint Longley, for some reason, it got into his head that he should be the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys moving forward. Roger Staubach's overrated. He's old. He can't play anymore. Look what I just did. In one half, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm that guy. I should be that guy. So he has it in his head that he should be the starter, and that plays out the entire 74 season. He has this growing tension for Roger Staubach. And training camp 1975, he walks in there, and he's freaking out like, I should be the starting quarterback. I should be the starting quarterback. And for some reason, he decides it's a good idea to sucker punch Roger Staubach in the face. Like, he just sucker punched him. And he runs out of the Dallas Cowboys locker room. And no one ever sees him again. Nobody. So he plays 1 year in the NFL, has one very shining moment on Thanksgiving Day, sucker punches Roger Staubach, Hall of Fame quarterback, and runs out of the Cowboys locker room because he was afraid of what was going to happen to him. And he never played in the NFL again. The Cowboys cut him that day. Nobody punches Roger Staubach. Nobody. And for people who don't know who Roger Staubach is, like I say, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He served in the Navy for 6 years before he got to the NFL. He played at the Naval Academy, won the Heisman Trophy there. Like, this is not somebody you're going to mess with. And he decides, I'm going to sucker punch him. And he runs out. He should have run it. He should have run out of that locker room. Never played again. So, best moment of Clint Longley's life, probably overshadowed by what followed. But still, a very awesome moment in Cowboys history, in Thanksgiving Day history. Now, the next 2 are both from the same year, 98. So, first one we'll talk about is one that I'm sure a lot of people know about. Randy Moss, Thanksgiving Day, 98, his rookie year. 3 catches, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. And to provide a little backstory into this, Randy Moss, I've talked about this on different episodes. Randy Moss, going into the draft, was by far and away the most talented player in this class, aside from Peyton Manning and Charles Woodson. Like, he was the guy. But nobody wanted to touch him because of all the legal troubles he had before the NFL draft process. Got arrested in high school, got arrested freshman year of college, got arrested sophomore year of college. And, they were domestic assault charges that he had to spend time in prison for. So a lot of teams took him off their draft board completely. So a guy who should have been a top 5 pick wasn't a top 5 pick. He ended up falling 21st to the Vikings. And the Vikings gladly took him. They had no problem taking Randy Moss. But the team that Randy Moss really wanted to go to was the Dallas Cowboys. And when they passed on him, they took Greg Ellis at pick 8 instead, who had a pretty solid NFL career in his own right. I'll give him that. But to not take Randy Moss, and Randy Moss held that against the Cowboys. He held that against them for his entire career, and it showed out on Thanksgiving Day. So when you have 3 catches, over 100 yards, and all 3 of those catches are touchdowns, and then you lead your team to the NFC Championship game, there's no sweeter revenge than that for Randy Moss. Of course, it would have been nice if they had won the Super Bowl, but we all know what happened in that NFC Championship game. The announcers just jinxed Gary Anderson, missed an easy chip shot field goal, and they lost in overtime. But in that moment for Randy Moss, no sweeter revenge for him. In the earlier game, 98, Lions versus Steelers, they're on their way to overtime in their Thanksgiving Day matchup. And Jerome Bettis, the legendary running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, goes out for the coin toss. He's going to call the coin toss because he's a captain. The referee of this game is Phil Luckett. And Phil Luckett is memorable for a lot of iffy moments in NFL history as far as calling penalties. But Phil Luckett's the one that's calling the coin toss. He's the head ref. And he asked Jerome Bettis, because they're the away team, he says, Jerome, heads or tails? And Jerome Bettis starts to say heads, and he ends up saying tails. So he says half of the word heads and then starts to say tails instead. And Phil Luckett's he called heads, and the coin toss came up tails. And Jerome Bettis is freaking out at midfield. No, I called tails. I called tails. It should be our ball. And Phil Luckett's no, you said heads. And if you look back at some of the old footage, it's pretty clear that he said heads first. At least he tried to say heads first before he said tails. And Robert Porcher was a starting defensive end for the Lions, great NFL player. He's laughing in Jerome Bettis' face. He thinks it's awesome. The Lions get the ball. They win the game. And Pittsburgh's on their way to a down year. And this is a time when they were going through some down years. Because 96, they were in the AFC Championship game. AFC divisional round. They made it to the divisional round in Bettis' first year. 97, 98, 99, 2000, there were some down years at Pittsburgh, and this was right in the midst of it. So it definitely didn't help his case and Pittsburgh's case by losing this coin toss. And it was just a weird, funny moment in NFL history. And because of this, they don't film the coin toss anymore. Or they don't record what guys are saying because they don't want anything like this to ever be caught on camera again. It was a huge misstep by the NFL films guys because it was just this weird moment. It was very strange. Why are you fumbling your words in the coin toss to begin with? Just say heads or tails. And I'm a big fan of Jerome Bettis. I've read his book probably 30 times. It's a great book. Definitely recommend reading it. But it was just a weird moment in NFL history. And of course, the Lions went on to win the game. The Steelers lost. Steelers on their way to a down year. I'm going to go back now to 1993. And it's another Cowboys game. Now keep in mind, before I go into this one, every year the Cowboys and the Lions play on Thanksgiving Day. They always do. And it was a deal that was made a long, long time ago that the Cowboys and Lions would always play on Thanksgiving Day because they wanted that spotlight. Especially the Cowboys, they're America's team, or they claim to be. So they play every year on Thanksgiving Day. So 4 out of the 5 of these moments involve the Cowboys. And that's what they want. They want the attention. But 1993, this is in the middle of their second Super Bowl run under Jimmy Johnson in that great 90s Cowboys roster. They were playing the Miami Dolphins on Thanksgiving Day in Dallas. And for some reason, it's snowing in Dallas, which is it's rare for that time of year. It's very rare. And they left the roof open. So the entire field at the old Cowboy Stadium is covered in snow. So it's already a strange game to begin with because nobody expected them to be playing in 6 inches of snow. Which is very strange, very weird. And the Cowboys are winning by... No, I'm sorry. The Cowboys are winning by 1 or 2 points going into the final seconds. And the Dolphins are lining up for a field goal to try and win the game. And it gets blocked. The Cowboys block the kick. And everybody on the Cowboys defensive side are screaming, they're screaming Peter, which means get away from the ball. Get away from it. Because if they touch it and the Dolphins pick it up, they get another chance. So everyone's screaming, Peter, Peter, get away from the ball. And out of the corner of the television screen, you see number 78 for the Dallas Cowboys, Leon Lett, running after the ball. And he tries to pick it up, fumbles it. The Dolphins pick it up. They get another chance. They kick the game-winning field goal. Cowboys lose. One of only 4 games they lost that year. But it was a big loss at that point in the year. And for casual NFL fans, Leon Lett has a very funny history with plays like this. So there was this play in 93 where he fumbled the ball, trying to pick it up after the blocked field goal, and the Dolphins win the game. But also the year before, in 92, they were playing in the Super Bowl against Buffalo. Frank Reich, who was the backup quarterback for the Bills, was in the game. He gets sacked and fumbles, and Leon Lett picks it up, and he is on his way for a 70-something yard touchdown. And everybody loves a fat guy touchdowns, and Leon Lett was a big dude. And he's running down the field, and he thinks he's got it, and he's high stepping. He has the ball in his right hand, like trying to taunt the Bills. And out of nowhere, Don Beebe, who's a receiver for the Bills, comes and knocks it out of his hands, goes out the back of the end zone. It's a touchback. So Leon Lett and the Cowboys don't score. They won the game 52-17. It wasn't a pivotal moment in the game by any means, but just that Leon Lett has this rare opportunity to go in and score a big touchdown that would just extend this lead to be his big shining moment in his NFL career. And he had a very, very productive NFL career. Don't get me wrong. Like, he was, aside from these 2 bonehead moments, he was an outstanding interior defensive lineman. Absolutely was. But these 2 moments just are always at the top of NFL fans' minds. Like, forget what you did playing-wise. You are a part of 2 of the biggest bonehead moves in NFL history. So Leon Lett costing the Cowboys the game ultimately doesn't matter. Cowboys went on to win the Super Bowl anyway, but still one of the more funny moments in NFL history. At least if you weren't a Cowboys fan. I know Cowboys fans, I'm sure, were freaking out with their television sets, which I'm sure we all like to see anyway, because who likes the Cowboys? I can think of one guy, and that's it. Nobody else likes the Cowboys. Lastly, my number 5 moment that I'm going to talk about is one that I don't like talking about because it involves my New York Jets, and I know at this point everybody knows what I'm going to talk about now. It's 2012. The Jets are on their downslide after 2 AFC Championship game appearances, and they are on their way to a 49-19 loss against the Patriots in New York. So definitely not something you want to see. Definitely not. And as the Jets are trying to get some points, get the lead back, Mark Sanchez, their quarterback at the time, drops back to pass. Nobody's open. He decides to run, and for some reason, he decides to run right into the ass of Brandon Moore, our starting right guard. He runs right into his ass. He fumbles the ball. Steve Gregory, and Patriots defensive back, picks it up and runs it in for a touchdown. And I'm sure we all know what the moment is called. It is called the butt fumble. And being a 12-year-old Jets fan, I've never felt more mortified of my team than in that moment. And being a Jets fan is filled with lots of mortifying moments because we are an embarrassing franchise. And we have been for a long, long time. Since 1969, honestly. We won the Super Bowl in 1969. That was the last time the Jets were ever relevant. So, and just that moment is like that crowning achievement of ineptitude for the New York Jets. Your starting quarterback runs right into the ass of your right guard, fumbles the ball. The Patriots pick it up, score a touchdown on their way to a 30-point win. Oh my God, it was just demoralizing to watch live. Very frustrating. And I know the whole nation got a big kick out of it. It won a lot of awards on ESPN for the funniest moment in sports that year or the stupidest moment in sports that year. And it was so depressing. It was so frustrating. It's funny now, but it was very, very not funny to me then. But that's going to wrap up my list of top 5 Thanksgiving moments. There are plenty of other ones. There's going to be plenty more that will happen tomorrow night, Thursday night. And I'm going to go through those 3 games right now, kind of talk about the key points that we should be looking out for and some other things surrounding these games. So the first one, Bears-Lions, classic Thanksgiving Day game. You got the winless Lions taking on Andy Dalton again and the Chicago Bears. Now, this game is going to be a snoozer. Both teams really don't have any stake in the playoff hunt, especially not Detroit, probably not Chicago at this point. They're just trying to make it out of the season, and they're trying to get Matt Nagy fired, first of all. I don't think anybody wants to see him back next year, players, fans, whoever. He has done a horrible job since being hired. He had his rookie year coaching led him to the playoffs, and that was great. But since then, it's been horrible. It's been absolutely horrible. He just doesn't know how to run a game clearly. And of course, don't take stake. I'm not an NFL head coach. I never will be. But it's clear that he doesn't know what he's doing. So if for some reason they lose that game tomorrow against winless Detroit, I wouldn't be surprised if he's fired on Friday. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So that's not a high interest as far as the NFL world's attention span, but it should make for some entertaining moments with two teams who are just so not good. Second game on the docket tomorrow, Cowboys-Raiders in Dallas. Now, it's a big moment for both teams because Dallas needs to regroup. They've struggled the past 2 weeks. Against Denver, against Kansas City, they have struggled. So it's really important for them tomorrow at home in the national spotlight that they show the NFL that they're still for real. Because the NFC East is still theirs for the taking. I know Philly's making a pretty awesome late charge for this division, and I think Philly actually ends up making the playoffs, as much as that pains me to say. I think they end up making the playoffs, but so Dallas needs to do something to regain control of that division, because Philly's coming right behind them. And to be perfectly honest, Dallas is so talented. They're too talented to be struggling. They're too talented to be in a race for this division, because they're far and away the most talented team in this division. So they need to show tomorrow that they are top dog in the NFC East. And for the Raiders, this is kind of, I feel like, a make or break point in the season for them. And they have had to undergo a lot of adversity this year. You lose John Gruden, you lose Henry Ruggs, both for horrible reasons on their part. But still losses, still big losses. And I feel so bad for Derek Carr, man. I love watching him play. He is talent-wise and ability-wise and production-wise, top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Firmly believe that. And they have just failed to do anything for him. Whether it was trading away Khalil Mack, trading away Amari Cooper, drafting poorly, surrounding him with nothing. I mean, the one guy is Darren Waller, and nobody could have predicted that Darren Waller would turn out to be what he is right now. Nobody. He was always talented, but no one could have predicted that he'd be a top 3 tight end in the NFL. And other than that, they have done nothing to surround him with anything. So if they lose tomorrow, the AFC West, I feel like for them, is going to start to become more and more out of reach because the Chiefs are surging right now. The Chargers, I don't know what they're doing either. They are just a team of classic underperformers. They always are every year. I think they end up figuring it out, though. So the Raiders, need to find a way to break through and win this game. Keep them in the hunt because the AFC West is competitive. And if they want to keep up in that division, they have to win. So tomorrow is a big make or break game for both of these teams. Lastly, primetime game, Bills Saints. I was talking about this with my buddy last night because we were both stumped. We can't figure out what is going on with the Buffalo Bills. They should be running away with that division in the AFC East. For some reason, the Patriots are running away with that division right now, and that bothers me even more than the Philly thing. I don't like the Philly thing because I live in an area where it's a bunch of annoying Philly fans, and they get on my nerves to the extreme. But I can't stand the Patriots. I can't stand it. And I can't stand all of the Mac Jones love. Because if Mac Jones is anywhere else in the NFL, he is not doing as well as he's doing in New England. He's a perfect fit for Bill Belichick and that New England scheme. And props to them for finding the right guy for them. But someone said on ESPN that if Mac Jones was taken by San Francisco at 3 instead of Trey Lance, that Jimmy G would already be out of a job. Two things. One, you're right, because Mac Jones was ready to play sooner. Okay? They took Trey Lance because they knew they wanted a long-term project with higher potential. That's why they took him at 3. That's why they traded up to 3 to take him. If they wanted someone to replace Jimmy G right away, they would have taken Mac Jones. We know this. But also, Mac Jones does not have the same success in San Francisco that he does in New England. He doesn't. It's not the same. Kyle Shanahan's a pretty decent coach. They have Kittle and Deebo Samuel, and they have a decent running game. Their defense is pretty strong, but it's not even close to the same. Not even close. Think about the success that Jimmy G had in a very short sample size in New England. There's a reason San Francisco traded a second-round pick for him after he only played 5 games in New England. because he looked good, because the Patriots made him look good. And I know that if certain people are watching this who have had this argument about Tom Brady with me before, Tom Brady was so much more than that system, and I believe that. Mac Jones is the system. He's a product of the system. Got way too off track there. My point is the Bills need to find a way to overtake the division again. They're way too talented. At least Josh Allen's way too talented. And I don't really know how much of it falls on Josh Allen. I mean, he hasn't looked quite as great as he did last year. But, like, all those guys are back. And they've gotten really good production out of their first-round pick, Gregory Rousseau. So everybody's still there. I just don't understand what's going on with that football team. They need to figure it out, though, or else they're going to be on the outside looking in come playoff time, and they shouldn't be. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, you have the New Orleans Saints, who, if they don't lose Jameis Winston, they are a dangerous team. But they lost Jameis Winston, and Trevor Siemian will not get them to the playoffs. So they need to figure something else out, because I don't see them winning this game. I think the Bills win this game pretty easily. The Saints, I believe in Sean Payton and that system, and I think you could put a number of different quarterbacks into that starting role and be successful. Like, I think Drew Brees was an amazing NFL quarterback, but you saw the success that Jameis had this year, as you know, did very well that first half of the year. You could find a number of different quarterbacks to plug into that spot and be successful. It's just not going to be Trevor Siemian. He doesn't have the upside, he doesn't have the arm strength, or just the arm talent, really, to get it done. He's a capable backup in a pinch. That's kind of it. So I think now for the Saints, it's seeing what you have in this football team going into 2022. You know, do they have to explore the quarterback market? Do they extend Jameis? I know they just gave a lot of money to Taysom Hill, but that money is fake. It's not real money. And that was explained earlier in the offseason when they signed him to that contract. It's not real money. If he continues to stay with the team, it'll become real money, but like it won't work out that way. It's basically a series of one-year contracts is how it works. Taysom Hill also isn't the answer at starting quarterback. I hate to break it to all of you Taysom Hill supporters. I'm one of them, but he's not a feasible option at this point to be the starting quarterback. Maybe, you know, they have Ian Book on that sideline. Maybe see what he has. See what he's got. He was a very successful college quarterback at Notre Dame. Maybe he can be your guy for the future. You drafted him in the 4th round. Maybe see if he can play. I obviously have no idea how well he's done in practice over the season. He might be playing horribly in practice. Maybe he's not ready. But I think the Saints at this point are not going to win the division. I don't think they're going to win the playoffs. At what point do you say, let's see what we have in this guy? And to that point, I know the Bucs have been struggling recently. They're going to run away with that division. Unless for some reason Carolina just puts it all together under Cam Newton, which I think would be the best story in the NFL by far. It'd be crazy. Cam Newton coming back to Carolina and winning the division would be a great story. I don't think it'll happen, but if the Bucs don't figure it out, and I know they won on Monday Night big, it was still the Giants. You know what I mean? So Tampa Bay's going to run with that division unless Carolina just finds lightning in a bottle. So that's going to wrap up my Thanksgiving Day edition of The Hit. Make sure, like, subscribe, tell your friends. I think I'm up to 52 subscribers now, which is so much more than I thought I would ever get. So to you 52, thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you. It's awesome. I really appreciate it. Tell your friends to watch. I'll see you guys next week.